Transmission repair. Transmission repair near me. So what we're going to do is we're going to really try and sit down and talk about transmission repair because it is definitely one of the most complex and essential systems in any vehicle. It regulates gear changes, controls power delivery, and determines how smoothly a vehicle accelerates. When it's functioning well, you barely notice it. When it begins to struggle, the entire driving experience shifts, sometimes gradually, sometimes suddenly. And most transmission failures don't happen overnight. They begin with subtle changes that grow into serious internal problems. Drivers who understand these signs that causes behind them and the repair process dramatically increase the lifespan of their transmission and reduce the likelihood of major internal damage. What the transmission actually does is the engine produces the power, but the transmission determines how that power is used. Without a transmission, a vehicle cannot regulate speed. It can't accelerate properly or apply torque efficiently. So the three core functions of the transmission is to control when and how the gears shift. And we're talking about, automatic transmissions. And even, I guess you could do standard transmissions. But I mean, you are determining you're going to engage the gears on a manual. Converts engine power into usable torque, regulates wheel speed based on driving conditions. When driving at low speeds, climbing hills, merging, or maintaining highway pace, the transmission determines how smoothly and responsive the car feels. So you've got an automatic transmission, which operates through hydraulic pressure, clutches, solenoids, and sensors that shift gears automatically. Continuously variable transmissions, CVTs, use pulleys and belt instead of gears, offering constant, uninterrupted acceleration. Manual transmission requires the driver to operate the clutch and shift manually. Dual clutch transmission, these uses two clutches to provide crisp, fast gear changes. And each transmission type experiences wear differently, develops unique systems, and requires specific repair techniques. So early signs of transmission trouble. Transmission problems begin with subtle symptoms. Recognizing them early prevents internal damage. So there's slipping. That indicates either low pressure, worn clutches, failing internal, components, delayed shifting, which could be fluid becoming bad, sensor failure, solenoid issues, internal wear, harsh or jerky shifts, which could be hydraulic pressure, worn components, electronic malfunctions, fluid leaks, which could be the pan gasket, the seals, the cooler lines, the valve body connections, burning smell. Overheated transmission fluid produces a distinct burnt odor and signals internal damage. So you should definitely be smelling your transmission fluid as well. And if it smells bad, then you definitely need to go get some transmission fluid taken out and new ones put in. Strange noises, which could be worn bearing, damaged gears, low fluid, internal failure, warning lights, stuck in one gear. There's all kinds of different things going on. And then, why does a transmission fail? Well, the number one primary cause, I believe, is because of heat. But fluid breakdown is right there with it. But heat breaks down fluid. So, and, just the length of time you have your fluid in there definitely starts breaking it down. But yeah, heat is definitely the number one enemy of transmission health. Excessive heat breaks down the fluid, damages seals, and accelerates wear. So when the fluid breaks down, your because the transmission fluid, it literally will lubricate, it cools, it controls pressure, it protects internal parts. And over time, it degrades, loses effectiveness, and collects contaminants. And then you got mechanical wear of clutches, gears, bearings, bushings, and seals. And driving conditions, short trips, not good for transmissions. Heavy traffic, towing, excessive driving, aggressive driving, and frequent acceleration increases stress. Modern transmissions rely heavily on computer-controlled systems, solenoids, sensors, pressure switches, control modules. So any one of these having any kind of an issue can definitely cause severe shifting problems. So definitely, when you bring it into an automotive repair shop, they're definitely going to need to do a test drive. They're going to do, most of the time a computer diagnostics, fluid inspection, external component evaluation, pressure testing, and then they need to determine the correct repair. And it could be, solenoid replacement, sensor replacement, wiring repair, valve body restoration, sealer gasket replacement, software updates, internal component replacement, complete rebuild. Depends on exactly what's going on with your transmission. And trying to get into it when what's going on when your transmission is rebuilt. And it's a very, very intricate process where you have to be meticulously clean. Like, I'm talking about surgeon room clean. And then, you got to get your transmission serviced. The thing is, the one thing that I really like to ask my customers back in the day when I was running an automotive repair store is, people are like, well, I didn't used to have to do that. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? And I'm like, well, why do you change your oil? And people say, well, I changed my oil because I'm trying to protect my vehicle. And I'm like, no, you're trying to protect one part of your engine. So the oil just protects one part of your engine. Coolant goes through your engine. Fuel injectors are in your engine. I mean, if you're not going to do a fuel injection flush and get the mist perfectly, so turning the gas into a mist, you're not protecting your engine. If you're not replacing your coolant, you're not protecting your engine. Transmission definitely has a filter in it and definitely needs the fluid replaced every now and again. Maybe not as much as the engine, but it definitely has to be protected just like the engine does. The brakes on your vehicle, the fluid needs to be replaced because your brake fluid doesn't even have a filter, and your anti-lock brake system costs as much as the motor does in most cases. Not to mention all of the other stuff that can go on with your brakes. So your differential fluid, your transfer case fluid, it's an amazing thing. Power steering might be electrical nowadays, but there's still a lot of vehicles with power steering fluid. Definitely need to get the power steering fluid replaced. I mean, we don't want rack and pinions and power steering pumps and on going bad, right? So you definitely need to maintain your transmission like there's no tomorrow. So if you're going to change your oil, then you need to take care of your shocks, struts, flushes, filters, belts, hoses, timing belt, spark plug, balance, align, battery service, everything, and you got to choose the right technicians. You got to choose the right shop. It's got to be a professional situation. You've got to take care of your vehicle, and you got to find people that are willing to take care of your vehicle with you and for you, so that you don't ever have anything done to you. I mean, the last thing we need to do is know that your solenoid was bad, but some shop recommended a complete rebuild. It's not very common that shops do that nowadays by any stretch, but they're still out there. So you definitely need to find one that is competent, capable, and has your best interest at heart.